The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the Optavia team.
Hey, well, good evening and welcome to the Optavia Habits of Health call. I'm Shirley Mast. I'm a certified Optavia coach, and it's my pleasure to host this call for you. Now, if this is your first time joining the Habits of Health call, a special welcome to you. We are so glad you're here. This call is for all Optavia coaches and clients, health professionals, but it's possible that you don't fit in any of those categories and you're just here because you're curious to learn more about how our program works and how you might be able to create better health. So welcome, we're glad you're here. Now you might hear content tonight that's geared towards those that are in various stages of their health journey. Some will be in the weight loss phase, some will be in transition, and some will be in optimization, moving on towards a lifetime of optimal health. Optavia offers excellent tools and support for those in weight loss, but we also have a lot to offer to anyone who is looking for better health in any area of their life. So if you're in the weight loss phase yourself, perhaps you're on our Optimal Weight 5-in-1 plan, please be sure to follow the guidelines that have been set up for you as guided by your free health coach. Now, this webinar is being recorded and it's going to be available on your Optavia Coaches co-branded website, as well as on our YouTube channel and also on podcast within 48 hours. How many of you didn't know that we have podcasts? It's the coolest thing. So on YouTube, you can search for Habits of Health Zoom, and for podcasts, just open the podcast player of your choice and search for Optavia. So if you're listening to the recording, not on live, we're really glad that you've chosen to invest in your health. And we invite you to join us live the next time to be part of the discussion. These Habits of Health support webinars are held every Wednesday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and your coach can fill you in with more details on that. So I am really excited about our call tonight, and I know a lot of you have been looking forward to this as well. We run this particular call, this particular topic about once a quarter, and I have a very special co-host with me this evening. So as some of you are already aware, this evening we're going to be talking about going from obesity to freedom. And for me, and also for my co-host this evening, this is a very personal story of transformation, and we'd like to share that with you, and then we'll give some time for you all to interact as well. So I'll give you just a little bit of my backstory. I came to this program back in August of 2010 at the recommendation of my physician. And at that point, my health was in a very desperate place. I weighed close to 400 pounds. And quite frankly, I had resigned myself to what I thought would be my future. I know what happens to morbidly obese people. And, but I didn't think there was any way I could effectively change that. And so I resigned myself to what I thought I couldn't change. I assumed that I would never have the opportunity to get to meet my grandchildren. And I started scrapbooking, frankly, with very deliberate intentionality, because I wanted very much for my grandchildren to know who I was. So when I came to the program, I came to it not expecting it to work, but not willing to tell my physician that I wouldn't try. I got 2 weeks into the program and had the same experience that many of you have had as well, where I discovered, wow, I feel good. I've got energy. I'm losing weight. Like, I was really crazy excited about how quickly I was losing weight. And I felt good. And yes, I know I said I felt good twice, but that was a really big deal for me. I'd never done anything for my health that I felt so good in the process. And so to make a long story short, I lost 215 pounds on this program. I have created health that I didn't think was possible in your 40s, your 50s, and beyond. And you know those grandchildren that I thought I'd never get to meet? Well, we have 3 of them now. Who's excited about grandchildren? All the Grammys are going to get in the chat box. But you know what's really exciting for me is not only am I here to enjoy them, but I can sit on the floor to play with them. I'm looking forward to dancing at their weddings one day. And I can be the vibrant, healthy Grammy that I didn't even think was possible. It has been so exciting for me. And I think I love the freedom that comes when, because of the structure, because of the program, I don't have to be afraid the weight's coming back. So I'd love to have you hear from our next storyteller. Well, our next storyteller, like there's going to be many. No, it's just Brittany and me tonight. And I know some of you have been so excited to hear from her. I've got Brittany May here, and she'd love to share her story with you. Go for it, girl.
Woo woo! It's exciting. I love getting to do these, and I love getting to interact and chat with everyone on these types of calls. But so my story, it's good stuff. 2 years ago, I was getting ready to start a new school year. I was over 500 pounds at the age of 23. And thanks to a loving friend of mine who just loved on me for actually a year and a half, I decided that this school year was going to be different. My students were going to get the teacher that they deserved. I was going to stop putting my life on hold. In 7th grade, I was denied access to riding a roller coaster in front of all of my friends. I wasn't able to drive a car because I was too large. I was stuck in my own mind and basically a shut-in in my parents' house, just living off of the couch other than school. And flash forward, I started this obviously to lose weight, but I quickly started to realize that this was much more of a mental journey than I had anticipated. And whenever I realized that I was going to be putting in the mind work, that's when the magic happened. That's when I started to realize how many freedoms, both physically and mentally, I was gaining. 2 years into this, a third of the size that I used to be, I am finding that I am exponentially more available to everyone in my life. I'm about to start a new school year next week. My students are getting the best possible me. I'm getting married next year. My fiance gets the best possible me. My clients get the best possible coach. Everyone, because I took care of myself, as selfish as that seemed at first, everyone else in my life gets to have a better me. And I get to you see the pictures. I went back and I got to ride roller coasters with the friend that saw me get denied access in 7th grade. I ran a 5K for the first time. I drive cars. Just everything in my life has changed because of one decision to help me and now help other people.
Okay, so how many of you are really, really glad you got on the call tonight just because you got to hear Brittany's story? I love it, girl. And I love the transformation that's happened. I like your comment about, you're more available now to the people who are important to you. Now, some of you may be saying, gee, this Brittany, she seems really familiar, like her face looks really familiar. Well, there's a reason for that. What was it, the beginning of May, I think, Brittany, that Brittany was on Megyn Kelly Today. And if you missed that, I have the link here, a bit.ly link where you can check out the recording of that. If you go to bit.ly/Optavia Today, that's all uppercase, all capitals. Oh, all uppercase and all capitals, that's the same thing. But anyway, for those of you that are listening to the podcast, you're going to bit.ly/Optavia Today and all uppercase, and you'll get to see the recording. Brittany, I know there's a little bit of a follow-up to that story. Would you like to share, because somebody else was on that show with you?
So that's the really fun part about this whole situation is I get to love on other people, and that includes friends, but it also includes family. My mom was there. She didn't know she was going to be on the show that day, but my mom was there with me. My mom is one of my clients, and at that point she was about a month in. And now, actually, just earlier this week, she came to my house to rummage through my closet because now we're both smaller. I was larger than her starting in 5th grade, and then worked my way back down. So the fact that we can share in this journey together, she gave me life, and now I get to help her live her best life.
I think that's one of the coolest things that I have loved about this journey to health is the ripple effect on the people around you, the people that you love. And it has been so much fun for me. I've had similar experiences myself, and I know a lot of people on this call, you've had the same thing. You chose to get healthy, and then your family members or other people that you love chose to get healthy. Now, speaking of media, we've kind of been doing the media thing this year, haven't we, Brittany? Some of you are aware that I had the opportunity to share my story with Women's World last month. And I just want to give a huge thank you to all of you who were so encouraging and so excited about this. If you missed the article and you want to check it out, you can find places online where you can get digital versions of this. But I would love, put in the chat box, if you shared this story, if you got to see the story and then shared it with somebody else. And actually right now I can't see the chat box, except I see it's going really fast. I can't see the content. But if you got to share this with somebody else, that's the idea behind this. And when you can say to somebody else, hey, I know this person, I've heard her story, she's a real person. And if you haven't yet shared it with somebody else, you still have that opportunity to share it with them and say, hey, come with me and come and we'll get healthy together. Because when you start getting healthy with someone else, it makes your own journey stronger. So let's do this, Brittany, because I'm thinking I'm really kind of looking forward to getting to be able to interact a bit with some of the people that are on the call. And what I'll tell you is there is a chat box that I'm definitely going to read through later, but it goes by so fast that I can't keep up with it there. But there is also a Q&A function here on Zoom. And so if you have a question that you would like Brittany and I to answer on this call, we will as time permits. Now there's a lot of people on this call. So if we don't get to all your questions, we may bring them back on the next time. So if you have a question, put it in the Q&A, don't put it in the chat because I probably won't see it there. And while we're giving people a chance to get some questions into the Q&A box, I'm gonna go with one of the questions, Brittany, that was asked the last time we were on and we didn't have time to answer it. And it's a great question. It's one that I hear often and a lot from people. And the question is, for those of us who have a lot of weight to lose, you don't have to lose 300 pounds for this question to be pertinent. Even if you need to be on plan for a while and need to keep the focus, how do you keep your motivation up as you lose weight? How do you resist the temptation and stay focused? Would you like to speak to that, Brittany?
Of course, because if we flash back to June of 2016 and like, hey, Brittany, you need to lose over 300 pounds, that seems crazy, unrealistic, and unattainable. But whenever you break that down into smaller, more manageable chunks, and you also celebrate small victories along the way, whether it's at 25 pounds, you get yourself a new necklace, or not even just weight victories, you just celebrate all of the non-scale victories along the way. You can tie your shoe a little bit better. You can fit behind the steering wheel a little bit better. I personally also love visuals. I have 2 jars that have stones in them. And one jar has all of the stones of pounds that I'd like to lose. And as I lose them, I plink them over to the pounds that are gone and never see them again. I like having the visual reminder, but find ways, talk with your coach, find ways to keep it fun and keep it interesting.
Yeah, I love that. I think for me, motivation only lasts for so long. But I know that for me, when I got really clear on what I wanted and why I wanted it, it became very, very simple to stay focused. It's not that we don't have challenges. Brittany and I, we both have challenges too, okay? It's not that we've got this all figured out and we're all perfect, okay? This is about making progress. But when you get really clear on what you want and why you want it, you know, when I realized that, my goodness, I could, Lord willing, be around long enough to see my grandchildren, well, that was a pretty amazing motivator for somebody who thought she'd never get to live long enough to meet them. So it really does come down to, what do you want and why do you want it? I saw this question come up, and actually there was this question came up the last time too, that somebody was asking, you know, how do you approach someone? Like, let's say I've got a friend who has 100 pounds to lose or 200 pounds to lose. How do you start that conversation? How do you let them know that this is a possibility? And maybe, Brittany, maybe the question is, like, what was effective for you as your coach was talking with you?
So as I had said earlier, it took 1.5 years. This is a trustworthy friend of mine that I knew from high school. We were in every club and every band together. And it still took me 1.5 years to just get on the phone. But the thing that made the difference, I hear it time and time again, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And this is, we're not selling products, we're offering hope. And once people know that you just truly care about them and you want to be able to give them your best life, once I saw that my friend just truly cared about me, like, well, I should at least give her the time of day to listen.
I think that's exactly right. I think your point is right, that when you talk with someone from a heart of compassion, they hear that. That's how the conversation went for me. When I got started, it was because my physician recommended it. And I'll tell you, it was not a pleasant conversation. I mean, he's a very kind man, but I was not particularly happy about that conversation because I didn't think it would work. So I was frustrated, clearly. I had the opportunity since then to come back to him, and because I go to a different healthcare provider now, but to come back to make a special trip back to him to thank him for having the courage to have that conversation. And I've had people that have said to me, they've said, well, I have a friend who's 150 pounds overweight. How do I talk with them about this? And I said, well, when I weighed 200 pounds, like when I had 200 pounds to lose, and if you came to, I guess the question is, like, I don't want to imply that they're fat. I don't want to imply that they have to get healthy. And I said, well, frankly, when I weighed close to 400 pounds, I already knew I was unhealthy. I already knew I had a weight problem. I just didn't know how to fix it. And so I was so grateful that my physician had the courage to bring up that conversation, because that's how I found the path to freedom. Anything more you would add to that, Brittany?
And I would say just be persistent.
Yeah.
Love on people and don't give up. Just because you get no the first time doesn't mean that you plant the seed. It's going to take a while to get fruit from that seed sometimes.
Yep, it's just about being persistent. And when it's somebody you really care about, you can do that. Here's another good question. Somebody was asking, and now I lost it, but I know the gist of the question was, did you need to exercise a lot in order to lose the weight?
See, that's the fun part. I didn't have to exercise. Whenever I weighed 500 pounds, exercise did not sound fun. I was pretty mobile as a teacher, but I was able to add in walking just as a stress reliever. I didn't have to spend hours in the gym to get the results, which was awesome. Now that I have the ability to, I can add in more physical activities, but that's because I want to, not because I have to. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, it was the same. Well, I'll tell you, when I first got started, close to 400 pounds, and I was in the late 40s, early 50s, late 40s when I would have started this. And so the fact that I didn't need to exercise in order to lose the weight was really beneficial, because at that weight, if I was doing anything high impact, I would have done terrible damage to my joints. So once I lost enough weight that I could walk comfortably, I just started walking. And I love the fact that this didn't require hours of workout at the gym. But like you said, Brittany, now that you are healthier, you can go do this stuff because it's a great way to stay in shape. It's good for the mind. But your most effective way to lose the weight is what goes in here, in your mouth, not necessarily what's happening at the gym. But you use the exercise then as a complement to that. This next question, Jane, thank you so much for asking this question. She said, what did you drink when you were tired of drinking plain water? Jane, I almost forgot this. I was going to talk about this before we got into the Q&A, and I got so excited about the Q&A and I totally forgot. So I'm so glad you brought that up, Jane, because I'll tell you, I drink a lot of water. Even now, I just feel good drinking a lot of water. And you guys know that, or you may be aware that with our program that we recommend that you drink 64 ounces of water per day, and some may want to drink more. Now, some of you are aware that the company has just introduced our new purposeful hydration line. You need to know that I live relatively close to the distribution center, so some of you are going to be a little jealous about this, but look what came in my UPS box today. So I have my Replenish, I have my, what's it called? My Bold Mixed Berry Replenish that I am enjoying right now in the water bottle that came with the package. Tomorrow morning, I'm really stoked about waking up and having my juicy orange. So I'll tell you this, guys, you do not need to use these, but they are awfully great. So you have this little sachet. Sorry, this is going to sound like a commercial, but I'm telling you guys, I'm pretty excited about this. little sachet that you just add into your water bottle, okay? And the thing that's nice about this, we have 4 different flavors, and they have, they've got vitamins in them, they've got, things that are beneficial to you, in addition to the fantastic flavor. But the thing that's nice for me is if I add one of each, like each of those 4, if I add one into a water bottle, into a 16-ounce water bottle, by the time I've done all 4 flavors in one day, I've had my 64 ounces. How cool is that, right? I don't know, Brittany, what would you say about the whole drinking water thing? Did you find that was challenging to drink the water that you needed? I'm going to just go ahead and have some now because I can,
Like you said, we all can't be as lucky as you to have ours just yet. So I'm going to stick with my plain water tonight, but mine's coming. But I personally have always been a water drinker, and I increased my water intake throughout the program. But I got a chance to try them at convention, a perk to going to convention. We got to try all the flavors. And even though I love plain water, I'm excited to have an added benefit to the water, because water in and of itself has so many benefits, but to now have additional good for you stuff, whether it's you wake up in the morning or replenishing after I do decide to go to the gym, that's exciting to me. Plus they just taste great.
Yeah. And yours will come soon, honey. I'm pretty sure it will. I know there's a lot of people on here that are probably a little jealous, and don't hate me. I'm sorry. I just, I live close by. So let me think, what else is coming in here? Now, there were some questions in here about what to do with loose skin. I think I'm going to defer that one. We've already addressed that on one of the previous calls, and so it's covered a little more depth there. And if you want to know the answer to that, if you go search through the archives of the Habits of Health call and just search for freedom, all of these will come up. There's, what is this now, Brittany? The 4th or 5th one? Something like that. The very first one that we did, we addressed that issue. So it's a question that comes up really often, but I'd like to have it covered in a little more depth like we did on that call. Somebody else asked this one. I love this question. How much mental weight have you lost?
I can't, if you would associate pound weight physically, this would be 100 times more than the physical weight that I lost. You see me, I'm constantly moving around because I've lost the physical weight, but also just the fog. I didn't realize this dense fog that I was driving through on a daily basis until it's all gone. And to be able to just, like I said, not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows, but now I have that scaffolding and I have my umbrella to get through these tougher days because we've done the mental work, but astronomical. And I'm sure you can attest to that as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I think the thing that I have loved about this is absolutely the fog. I don't know what, I just felt like I could think more clearly. And I would just assume that, I'm a registered nurse and I still don't even know exactly why that is, although I suspect it comes down to the nutrition. But I love the fact that I could think more clearly. I also, on this journey, have learned to think differently. There's something really significant that happens when you beat something that's always beaten you. And for me, and I know this is true for Brittany too, I was the chubby kid in 3rd grade, so this has always been a challenge for me. And so to be at the point where I'm not afraid that the weight's ever coming back gives an incredible amount of clarity. And it also helps me, and I've seen this happen over and over again with other people who do our program, that they start thinking, well, if I can do this, wonder what else I could do. I was soon after I lost my weight that I'd been a nail biter since I was a kid. And I thought, well, if I can lose 200 pounds, I should be able to stop biting my nails, right? But that's a really simple thing. But I'll tell you, and they do look lovely. Yes, they do. But I've also found that that's applied to relationships. I interact with people differently. Some of that comes from the mental clarity. Some of that comes with being confident in my skin, I think. And so it's I love the mental transformation that goes with our program. What would you say, Brittany, these questions are coming in so fast, and I promise guys, there are so many people in this call that there's no way we're gonna get to all of these questions. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go look down through the questions later and maybe we'll address them on the next call, because my word, too many to hit tonight. But here was another one that came. Somebody asked if your weight loss slowed down as you got closer to your goal weight.
So that I'm at the beginning, I mean, you know, the results not typical and the poundage, yes. So my first week I lost 14 pounds. I'm not losing 14 pounds a week anymore. I don't have 14 pounds a week to lose. But knowing and being able to talk that through with my coach and knowing that this process was going to slow down, I was mentally prepared to see those numbers change and start as I got closer to my goal. I was prepared for that. So we knew it was coming. But to answer long story shorter now, yes, the numbers do slow down as you get closer to your goal weight, but that's to be expected.
Yeah. Well, what I found for me, and now those of you who have like 25 pounds to lose, you're not going to lose 14 pounds in a week, okay? You need to start at 500 pounds maybe for that. And obviously that's going to be different for every person. I know for me, my rate of loss at the beginning was very, very quick. And I love that. But I found that throughout the whole process, it still was a very steady, consistent rate of loss. And that was really, really encouraging to me. What I find sometimes is that people will say to me, oh, well, I got 10 pounds away from my goal weight and I stopped losing weight. And I say, well, are you still in the program? Are you still following the program? Well, kinda. Well, we don't have a kinda program, okay? So if you're following the program, you'll continue to see the results. But sometimes what I find will happen for people is they'll get close to their goal weight and they start losing their focus. Maybe they have 100 pounds to lose and they're now within 20 pounds of goal. And so they've reached a lot of the goals that already mattered to them. I know that was true for me about the time I got to about 200 pounds on my weight loss journey. And I had people that said, well, you're done, right? And I said, no, I'm not done. I'm not at a healthy weight yet. And they said, yeah, but you look great. I said, well, thank you very much, but I'm not going for looking great. I'm going for healthy. And I found that along the way, I kind of needed to refocus my goals. And some of you all might be in this place where, like, I started the program, frankly, at first to save my life. And then once I realized, wow, this really is going to save my health, then I started focusing on things like I wanted to ride roller coasters, I wanted to swing dance with my son, I wanted to be able to ride on airplanes. Well, by the time I got down to 225 pounds, I could do all of those. Okay, now why do I want more? And so then it takes a refocusing and a re-goal setting on what's the thing that I want next. Because you're going to find that when you're focused in on what you want, that desire will pull you forward in a way that's really super powerful. Now, the problem about this, Brittany, is I'm sitting here sharing this stuff and now I can't look and find what the next question is. Ad lib for me, Brittany, while I find another question.
Of course, but exactly, playing back off of what you said, my original goal was to be a better teacher for my students, I had achieved that by August of that year. If I would have stopped there, I would have denied myself all of the opportunities that I've had in the last 2 years. Even now, as I'm trying to figure out my goal weight and where that goal weight's going to end up, I have all the people in my life that I still want to be my best self for. I want to be able to maintain healthy so I can hopefully one day bear children. My why keeps changing as this journey evolves, but you gotta keep that focus and update the why.
Love it. We've got about 2 minutes left. I'm gonna give you a quick and easy one, but it's a fun one. What's your favorite lean and green recipe?
Oh, my favorite lean and green recipe. I love cauliflower. Cauliflower was not a favorite of mine before, but you can turn cauliflower into just about anything. My favorite, pizza, because now I can have pizza and it's good for me. Double win.
And I'll tell you this, people hate it when I give this answer, but my favorite lean and green, I tend to not use recipes. As I started getting healthier, our cooking got very, very simple. So we grill a piece of meat and we add some vegetables. I mean, it really is that simple. Now, my husband and I, we're empty nesters. How many of you are empty nesters? It's like kind of awesome to be at the stage where you got the kids kicked out of the house, okay? So we tend to eat out a lot. We eat healthy, okay? And so I do lean and green at restaurants. But when we're at home, we are super simple because it just makes it really easy. Less time in the kitchen, more time for the stuff that really matters to us. Hey, Brittany, I feel like we could probably go all evening. And for those of you that we didn't answer your questions, I promise I'm going to go look down through those and maybe we can answer those in a future call. But feel free to go back and look at the other ones, the other calls that we recorded, because some of the questions that you asked may have been answered there. But Brittany, thank you so much for being on the call. Got any closing comments as we wrap this up?
I would say if I had one takeaway for everyone to remember is, again, you don't have to tackle the mountain alone, and you don't have to tackle it in a day. We didn't become obese in one day. We're not going to free ourselves from that obesity in one day. But by being diligent and being consistent, that day and those moments will come.
Yep, that's excellent counsel. Guys, stay close to your coaches, okay? If you're struggling, if things aren't going the way that you'd like them to go, best thing you could do, plug into this community, plug into your coach, and come back and say, hey, how do I have the success that I want to have? So we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on this call. Don't forget to come back next week, same time, for our next Habits of Health webinar. And you guys go make it a healthy week.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the Optavia team.